Hello, everybody. Hi. We've got all our miracle family here with us today.
Hi, everyone.
Oh,
Oh.
wow, what a joy. Sweet. Yeah. Well, Helena and I have been joining quite a bit over the past few days. You might have seen our live video yesterday, maybe on Facebook or YouTube. Yeah, we've just been sharing together just some deep themes that have been coming up this week. And yeah, it's just felt like a bit of an exploration. But yeah, we both watched this beautiful movie that we're going to play today, and it really covers a lot of these really deep themes. But yeah, we started the week, and something that was really kind of coming up strongly was this thing about opening up to love. And I mentioned that too. Like you had a beautiful worship service on Sunday with Marina last Sunday, and it was just this beautiful outpouring of love, and just it was all about this love and connection with Jesus, and it just felt like like Marina was totally erupting with love, and then we just like. And I think for many of us, after the worship service, some in our house was sharing like just noticing where there's this kind of like where the heart can freeze up a little bit of like, oh my gosh, where do I feel this hold back, or where do I feel like I can't totally allow myself to open up to this love, and where are these blocks or these chains coming up where I'm holding myself back. So it was a kind of great kind of thing just to become aware of at the start of the week of like, okay, something's kind of going on in the mind here. And where is it that I'm not having a full experience of this love that the Course talks about, the love of God? And I think, it can be hard to see in our daily lives. And I think that's why we kind of need each other so much, because I kind of feel like we can get so much into old patterns and old ways of doing things that we don't even question, am I happy? Or it can be like we can just keep on going in the same kind of pattern really easily, where we think we know what it is that makes us happy. Like the ego is saying like, oh, you liked that in the past, go towards that goal. Or and then avoid these things and avoid these types of people or whatever it is. And the ego puts on these kind of parameters. And yeah, and then somehow it's just like we need a way to burst out of that. And that's been the question in the mind this week, is like, how is it that we allow this opening up? And yeah, I was listening to David give a talk yesterday, and he talked about the crack, just all the Holy Spirit needs is a little crack in the ego's armor, the ego's defense, to come rushing forth and rushing in with help. But that all seems to start with this willingness just to kind of like question, like, am I completely happy? Or is there something that feels a bit stiff, or feels like a bit hard, like a shell around myself? And just becoming aware of like, is that really what I want? Yeah, and I think also like, you were sharing with me yesterday morning, and I shared in the live video this beautiful childlike joy, like this remembrance of what it's like to be a child, and in the play and total innocence, and this feeling of a lightness and a joy. And then kind of like going, where's my day-to-day experience not like that now, or contrasting, or where's this hardness kind of come in, or a different way of, using my time.
Yeah. I feel like this movie has so many themes. Like we've been talking for these last few days. It's like, it's so full. It's what's coming to mind. It's definitely an undoing the doer in a really deep sense. And I think that's why the theme that we found, dropping the defenses to love, like the word defenses feels like core for this movie. Like, you'll really get to see this main character, how much of a control she has like put onto her life and all these life situations, and its control is her major defense. But yeah, we were even speaking this morning about, I was sharing with you about like undoing the doer and guidance, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more later, but there's just so many themes. Like trust is a really big theme in this movie. I'm kind of blank. It's like, it's just filled. Like the movie's filled.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We could share like what the movie is. So it's called
No Reservations.
The title just dropped out of my mind. No Reservations.
Yeah, it's a classic in the community. Some arms are going up.
Yeah. It's a total love fest movie, and I think it could be considered like a romantic comedy in a way. It's got comedy elements, but it's also got a bit of drama in there as she's going through her undoing process. But yeah, as I was like praying on these themes about heart opening and going through some of the movies we had on MWGE, the cover of this movie really lit up for me. And it's just so perfect. And you were saying, like, when I first mentioned this movie, you're like, oh, because you had this like thing where you felt like you could relate to her character so much, like having gone through that cycle, like that wash cycle
over and over again.
Yeah. Because in this you'll find like her character, and what's the actress's name?
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah. She works in this kitchen. She's like the head chef, and she's very professional. She's like at the top of her game. Like she's really highly respected. And the movie will start with her on the therapist's lounge, kind of like in the therapist's room, and she's talking, and and you'll very quickly see like the contrast, because she's in this place where you're meant to go for opening the mind and getting support. And she's just totally just sharing about being a chef and like about food. She's just only just talking about food. And it comes to a point where he says like, why are you here? Kind of like, or like, it's like, what is this for? What are we doing here? And you'll see she has a very kind of hard shell built up around her, which seems to be this control where, she seems to know what the highs are, and she knows the things to avoid, but it's all within this sphere of like, I am a chef. The kitchen is who I am. This is who I am. And she has control. She's controlling everything. She seems to do things very well, but we'll also see that when it comes to relationships, there's push away. And it even like just even comes up in the kitchen with her boss. When the boss comes in and says, "Hey, we need to join later about this or that," she's like, "Okay, later." And there's this kind of like push away of even like connecting. And the boss is the one who actually asked her to go to see the therapist, because she could see like she's really not getting along very well with even the customers. Like when she goes out to talk with the customers, any criticism that comes up of how she's performing, she can't take any kind of criticism. Like she's like, nothing. So she's like very much she has to be right, and she's right about her whole environment. So she needs a crack desperately.
Yeah, it's like she built like all of us, like she built a self-concept. And when you were sharing about the little child, and when we were talking about that the other day, it's like, yeah, I remember when I was a little girl, I wanted to, and I joined with Suzanne about it too, like similar memories of just going out into the grass, picking the flowers, smelling the flowers. Like, it was just like this childlike, I would sing all the Disney songs when I would run outside to the playground. Like, it was just this like really, this gleeful joy. It was like this really like this childlike innocence. And in the movie, you'll see she'll share it in one of the sessions when she does open up a tiny bit. She'll share that you'll see that she got hurt somewhere in her life. She got hurt. Her father abandoned the family, her mother actually.
No,
Her
the mother
died. Her
Yeah.
mother died, and then the father
present.
was like absent,
Yeah.
and I think we can all relate to that in some way. Like we all went through some experiences seemingly in the past that hurt us and we shut down. Of course, underneath there's a much deeper, the cause of that is much deeper than on the screen. But I feel like I can really relate to her, and I think all of us in a way can, because she has built a self-concept, and around that self-concept are all these defense mechanisms to keep the self-concept intact, and anything that comes in to even like allow for that crack, like he said, she just totally pushes that away, like especially in the interactions and the connections. Like that's her main defense, because that's probably where the spirit can come in. But you'll see she organized her life according to her concept, and she's sharing. I really love her character, because when she shares with the therapist, she even says, yeah, I just like things to go really well. It just goes really well the way I do it. Like I just
want things to be done right.
Yeah, I just want things to be done right. And so I just end up doing most of the things myself. And when she said that, I just started laughing, because I thought, oh my God, she's right. Like part of her mind is like, I so relate to that. Like I want things to be done right. And so I end up doing things myself. But that's not, that's where the spirit needs to come in and say, okay, what is this really about? Because that is the self-concept, whatever concept we have. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's family, if it's career,
spiritual self-concept.
Spiritual self-concept, highly protected by the ego.
Yeah. I think that's so common. I mean, like, and it can't be avoided. Like, even us who, like, and everyone in the community and everyone we interact with, we are all coming from different pathways, and we've all learned things as we've gone along, things that seem to have been helpful on our journey, and, things to fall back on in the mind, the tools we've used and the things that we've relied on when we've had a bit of a shake or an upset, certain ways of like working with the world. And then when we have this call for healing, if there's a real call for healing, spirit always brings the symbols in for healing that the mind needs. So very naturally, like the ones will come in, and things can seem unsettling, when these ones come in, because the ego is very quick to judge the ones who come in and judge the scenario that appears, like, oh, this is what's going on? This feels destabilizing, or not like what I'm used to. I was at peace before. I had some kind of peace going. I was content. Things were kind of like going along pretty good. But then I had some call for a deeper healing, and this kind of feels a bit unsettling or shaky, or I don't know about this, And so the ego is very quick to rush in. But then this is when like the trust comes in. It's like, okay, well, I do still have that prayer in my mind for healing. I know I made that prayer for healing, and I have some awareness that there is a greater joy or a love that I'm not presently aware of. Like I seemed like things have been going pretty good for me, but I'm like somehow aware, well, at least for a lot of us, things might have been going good, but maybe not. But there is a sense of like, there's a greater joy and a greater love. And when we make that prayer, and for her in the movie, it's not even fully conscious, but I think we can see even the fact that she's there with the therapist, although she seems to be misusing it at the start of the movie, she's kind of willing to kind of have a little crack, just to see that, even going to the therapist, that, okay, I'm open if there's anything there. But little by little, you'll see the symbols come in that really allow her to start opening up. And it becomes more and more obvious when she takes a step in that direction, and the spirit will work through attraction as well for her with the symbols that come in. But that things start to feel they're a bit rocky at the start. She doesn't know how to make sense of the ones that are being presented to her. And I was saying, like, sometimes it feels that way. Like, it can feel like oil and water, where like certain personalities that seem to come into our environment, we just might not even know how to interact. Like ways that we've used previously like, oh, even like, in spiritual circles or whatever, oh, these are the things, this is how we talked and this is how we interacted, or even with old friends, this is how we have a good time. But then certain ones can come in when we had this calling. It's just like, they're not meeting any of my old ways of interacting in it. And this doesn't seem to be flowing in a way that I'm used to. And so there has to be this deeper prayer of like, maybe there's something I'm not seeing here, or maybe there's something I need to open up to in the way. And so we can take it as a gift. If someone's showing up in my awareness and I don't know what to do, it's kind of great because it can disarm the ego. It's like, all my old tactics aren't working. So you have to be completely clueless. The ego wants to rush in and say there's a problem. There's a problem with this setup or the ones who are here. But actually the spirit can totally use that. Just say, why don't you just try being totally disarmed and clueless and being open to trusting that maybe the ones showing up are guided, and just watch. Just watch and like have that little crack with that willingness.
Yeah, when you say the word disarmed, it reminds me of the movie last week with David, with Peace Pilgrim. And like, she was like a true mystic because the word disarmed was used, I think, many times. She encountered these situations but she was so in the innocent, like she was so into seeing the Christ in everyone that she didn't even have a need to defend herself, against even like having food or water or certain interactions like this. Being totally disarmed, it's like being totally defenseless. I think that's it when we talk about dropping the defenses to love. It's like just to even become aware of where the defenses are in the mind. And I feel like, right before the movie actually started, right before we started our gathering, I had a lot of emotion come up because I just realized I felt all the love from the spirit, like for this path, and like how every step along the way has been guided. Like every stepping stone was essential on this path. It might not be the thing that I need in this moment, but I needed it when it was there. And that's what I felt when we were praying about the movie today. The word that really came to my mind was gentle and gentleness and a gentler path. Those were kind of the words. And I think that's kind of the heart behind this movie. I think that's why I love this movie so much. And I definitely want to watch that every year. Like every time I watch this movie and I see her character go through this rinsing cycle with the spirit, I just feel like every time I watch it, my heart opens up more and more every time. And even watching it this time again, but just to see even that, like, how can we let go of the defenses other than like following the guidance that the Holy Spirit provides, because we cannot rely on what we think we need, because what we think we need comes from the past. We always bring in the past. So we cannot decide upon the form of what we need. As when we do that, we block the guidance of the Spirit. And I just feel experientially that the guidance is, like you were just sharing, like things might shift and change and it feels rocky, but the guidance, the source of the guidance is love. Like the source is the Spirit, the source is God. So that the love is underneath the guidance, but it will raise up everything that's not that. So it's like, actually, I was just realizing this morning, all the guidance that we've been following all this time was to expose these blocks and to expose these defenses that we're holding on to. So as soon as we enter a new relationship, or we enter seemingly another situation or a project or a collaboration or a new living environment, it doesn't matter what it is. Like when it's guided by the Spirit, it is to show and to raise up the blocks so we can release it. And it's like, that is the core of A Course in Miracles too. It's to see where removing the blocks to the remembrance of love's presence. So but just even experientially this morning, I was just like, wow, like I had this feeling of overwhelm coming in, of gratitude, of every single thing that has been set on our path was and is and continues to be guided by the Spirit. Like, we are so carried along the way. And just to even realizing that I don't know my best interest, because I will bring in the past and I will bring in a defense. It's like, that's just how the personality self is built up. It is a defense against who we truly are. So if I bring myself to the situation, there is an immediate block, but it doesn't mean that the Spirit can't use it. The Spirit will use our personality, and it will use our environment, it will use our skills and everything that the ego made. But I think that's so beautiful to see in this movie, that it's so gentle. Like, she is not, like, you're not thrust into the light or in reality. It's like, it's an unwinding. You can't just pull the nail out of the wall. It's like, we don't even know how wound in we are until we actually get unwinded from a family concept, myself concept, spiritual concept, community concept. Oh, I'm a good volunteer concept. I'm a good father, mother, sister, whatever the concept is. We don't know until the Spirit starts to unwind us from it. Then, we feel how stuck we were in that wall of the self-concept. So yeah, it gets rocky in the cracks, but Jesus does rush into those cracks and sends us the symbols to support the heart opening. And yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were listening a bit to David yesterday, one of his talks, and he was talking about how our natural state of mind is happiness, and then it's kind of like seeing like where anything else seems to be opposing that happiness, but that's the total washing. That's the only thing that's happening, is like just kind of like feeling where anything is coming up that's opposing happiness, this feeling of happiness. And so she, like in this movie, you can see she's such a great demonstration, but like you said, like it needs to be gentle and it needs to be in the Spirit's timing. But you can see there's a prayer there there must be a prayer there that's to open up to this happy state of mind. And then things seem to be effortless in a way of the means coming in, being provided for her. Like things seem to be happen very haphazard. It's not even conscious for her, but there's a prayer in the back of the mind of like, I want another way. And although like things seem to be very proficient for her in the kitchen setting, and she's like the top chef and doing things, but you can feel there's this hardness and this kind of cold, slightly cold way of being.
She has a lot of rules. She has a lot of rules for her life.
Yeah.
I don't do this. I don't date men from my apartment building. I don't drink at work. She has all these rules that she set for herself. Defenses, and it's an opportunity. I feel like it's such an opportunity for us to look at, where am I having all these rules and things in place to keep the safety, but it's not real safety. It's like we're guarding against love.
Yeah, and then she has this beautiful experience in the movie where there must be this prayer in the mind, but to start with, there seems to be like what can look like a tragedy, like family thing that happens, and she ends up taking in this her niece comes in, this little girl, and instantly it's kind of like it's going to be like the reflection of her childlike joy that kind of comes in but needs to be nurtured. And we was just saying, like, it was last week when David talked about there's this symbol of there's a child within who needs your protection. And I was saying in the talk yesterday that we had, like, that's so beautiful as a symbol, because we can see when in our daily interactions or doings or thoughts in the mind, what doesn't feel helpful for nurturing this child within, like supporting this, and what feels unloving in our interactions, and just starting to become aware of that. And so in the movie, it's really beautiful when this child shows up, because she sees where the things that she tries to do with the child, like even like the child's not eating any of her fancy food that she's preparing. And she's like, oh, okay, this isn't going to work. My old, what I thought was good and high quality, it's not working. She needs to try a different tactic, or something has to change. And then also at the same time, it's so beautiful because Spirit is going to bring in this this very attractive man into her kitchen, and he's going to be there as like the sous chef, I guess. He's going to come in, but it's a surprise to her. He kind of like shows up and like, she's going to be like, who is this guy? What's he doing in my kitchen? And so very quickly, it's not only her home environment, but also the work environment where things are unstable. Like things have been starting to shake everywhere, but it's a part of her prayer. And also the beautiful thing too is him coming in. He is this very kind of joyful. He loves singing opera, like Italian opera. So he comes into the kitchen, and that's when she first sees him. He's going to be in full song in the kitchen, where like she's never like that in the kitchen. She's very like, where's the next order?
She's very efficient.
She's very efficient, but he's singing to the chefs in the kitchen, and he's just like, he's bringing in something completely different, and she just perceives as like, what are you doing? This isn't professional. But she's also going to be witnessing all the smiles on the faces of the people in the kitchen, and this different environment and this joy.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because it's like when we talk about the crack, like the Holy Spirit needs to bring contrast experiences. Sometimes we don't even know how stuck we are in our own kind of little world and self-concept until something comes in that kind of seems to oppose that concept. So this needs to come in for her to really be shaken up and see, like, have a contrast experience. And with that, I feel to get in touch with what she actually wants, like more consciously, like she will start to feel the warmth and the joy of the present connections and the smiles, and there's an attraction to that, and that's what the Spirit will use. Like, we will have contrast experience, and we will more and more want to go in that direction of the Spirit, and naturally the rest drops away. Because I was thinking, like, in a way it's very simple, because it's the prayer of our heart makes everything happen. Like, the prayer of our heart leads the way. So it's like, if there is a strong prayer for a deeper connection, and I feel that will orchestrate everything will emerge from that. Yeah And at the end of the movie, we're actually going to play a song at the very end, just to bring it all the way full circle. Because, even again, with the guidance of the Spirit, it is to break that, or to bring a crack in the self-concept, but eventually it is to go really inward, like, and actually to drop into the presence of Jesus and of the Christ. Like, ultimately, that's what it's all for. But we can't skip the steps along the way. Like, we are given steps along the path. And I feel that's why trust is a really big theme in this movie, because she is given a lot of steps, actually, and they come in very gentle. It's very gentle. She wouldn't say it's gentle. I think the character would not judge this as gentle, and I think many of us have felt that on this journey. It's like, well, that did not feel gentle, Spirit, but actually it is gentle. It's like, it is the most gentle way, because it's his plan. Yeah,
but that's beautiful to see too, because it is gentle, but you can see it doesn't seem that way because of all her resistance that she has in the mind, that she's resisting what's showing up in front of her. And you will see too that she really she's decided upon the motives of her brothers in accordance to what she wants. So when this guy shows up in the kitchen, she has this perception of like, oh, he's here to steal my job. He wants my role. When that's not the case at all. Actually, he's there in a joy, and he comes in with this gratitude. He knows her. He's like, I have so much respect for you. How do you make your saffron sauce? Kind of thing. And he's just like in this total like joy with her, but she can't perceive that. And she won't allow that because of the threat. This is different. This is challenging my setup. But you will see as the movie progresses too, she'll start to have these cracks where she's actually allowing in, it's like, oh, maybe this isn't what I thought. Maybe there is something that's been given here for me to open up my heart. She has to be open to that trusting this is a totally different way that I'm not used to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love this movie because I feel like I can feel the Spirit's love underneath every step that he's offering her. And I feel for myself like it can come in on the spiritual journey, like, I am going to wake up. It's like this or like this effort or this even like self-judgment. I'm not as far as I think I am. When a grievance comes up, I still am working with this grievance. I'm still not over it. Whatever the judgment is on the path. And then this doer can come in, even in the spiritual path. Like, I will somehow drop this mask or what, but it's like this sense of like something is wrong and I need to fix it. And I feel this movie actually is like, no, nothing is wrong. You are loved. I love you so much. And I'm going to gently unwind you with symbols of love and joy and care and kindness. And I'm going to bring you all the opportunities that you can express and extend the love, because I love you so much. I am not going to like pull this mask off of you. That's not what I want. I love you and you are innocent, and I'm going to show you in a very gentle way how loved you are. And I think that's maybe why I love this movie so much, because I need those reminders over and over again that it's not about, you're wrong, you have sinned, and now you need to become holy. Like, that's not the voice of the Spirit. It's like, you are loved, you are a beloved child of God, and I'm going to show you every step of the way that I am carrying you. Whether you can feel it right now or not, there will come a moment that you will feel that I've carried you every step of the way. I love you so much, and I feel that's what I feel with the movie right now. It's like it's gentle. It's very gentle, and she's not judged for who she is. Like, even the character isn't judged. It's going to be used. Like you said, he will come in, but he comes in because he's so inspired with her. Like, he's inspired by her. So that's what the Holy Spirit's going to bring in. There's like a connection and an inspiration there, and that will kind of lead the unwinding. It's through the love. Like, the guidance is inspired by love. And I feel like that's something I want to remember every step of the way, especially when it feels a bit rocky and the self-hatred comes up, either internal or reflected. It's like, no, I love you and I will carry you through this path. And yeah, I feel that's to me, like, that's the most important message of this movie. It's the Spirit underneath it that I really feel.
Yeah. It's so beautiful to witness that through this movie too, because she gets lighter and lighter as things progress, and we will see, like, she gets this opportunity to embrace that childlike joy again.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Well, maybe we start the movie and we'll pause it from time to time, and
yeah, I think that feels perfect. Good. Yeah, so yeah, we can get into it.
Enjoy.
Thank
you. Yeah, great. I just really love this scene. Just wanted to, can you put it on?
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to pause there because I feel it's so classic, like, showing that, like, her concept is being a chef, and then when she's asked to connect with people in the restaurant, there's already like a resistance even there. And then she goes out, she's communicating through her chef, very polite, okay, concept. And then she walks back, and then seemingly something happens that is against her I am a really good chef self-concept. You see the defense comes in straight away. There's no connection point there. There's no, like, prayer. Actually, it's like it's like a reaction immediately from, like, an I know mind. And that is like a huge defense. And then the pride and the arrogance that's underneath that when she goes back to the kitchen, even hearing you're the better chefs. What? Like, is she joking? Like, you see how much pride is there about how good she is and what she does? That is a huge defense against present connection, you can see that the purpose for her being there, it's like a false sense of confidence,
Yeah.
I think, a false sense of strength and confidence. So the spirit will come in and will flip the whole thing around to have it be about the connection, like, because that is what everything is about. It's about the connection, and everything that's not that has to be, through contrast experience, pointed out. Like, we need to become aware of that. So this is a great setup.
Yeah. And even how we see, like, when the boss calls upon her, she needs to take this moment. She's like, yeah, later. And she goes into the freezer room, and she's like, we'll see this freezer room a lot in the movies where people go to chill out or to go through their process. They process in the freezer room. But you can see, like, there's something of a burnout that she's experiencing a little bit. She's not totally aware of it when she's in her highness, but when she gets a little challenge, you can see this little sigh, like, this stress or something, because she's working against her happiness. She's very much actively, and she doesn't realize how she's burning herself out.
Yeah. We were sharing, because she's so precise, what she tells her therapist, like, I want things to be done right, so I end up doing everything myself. And then you see this scene in the kitchen where she's, like, in her element, so to say, in her concept, and then her colleague gets totally distracted, talks about whatever.
Talking about this guy at the table.
Yeah, bumps into the colleague, and then you were sharing.
Yeah, she comes in so, like, everything is reaffirming her state of mind. So when that happens, she comes in, she's like, pay attention, don't let it happen again. And, so she's reaffirming how much she has to be in control and do. But it was kind of interesting, just that scene when she's with the therapist, she's even like, well, tell me about your past relationship. She's like, isn't that a bit personal? So again, she doesn't quite know, but you can see she starts to open up a little bit. Just a little bit, just to talk a little bit. And it kind of seems like that's all that's needed. She starts to talk about her apartment, how, she doesn't want to give up moving with somebody else because she doesn't want to let go of the security that she's made. And we're going to find out a bit too, even about her father in the past, and this feeling of, like, she felt like abandoned and she needed to step in to give herself stability. So there's something that's coming in where she feels like she needs to provide for herself. And she started to open up a little bit. And so there's, like, a little bit of a crack, just her willingness to even look at the past and mention something about her circumstance. And you'll see now that this phone call is coming in. This is actually, maybe we're not up to the point yet.
But also, like you were saying, like, it's really beautiful to see and just realize how powerful the mind is, because whatever we believe to be true will get reflected in the perception. So she believes she needs to have so much control in her life, and so the witnesses are gonna, like, just reflect that. Yeah, you see, I need to be in control. You see, it gets dropped. But it isn't until there is a deeper prayer in the heart to go beyond that crack, that can start to shift. So even with the apartment, like, there's a belief in the abandonment. Of course, there's a belief in abandonment. It's deeply buried in the mind. Like, it's just being reflected out in this way for her in these scenes. But yeah, so that will get reflected until there is that crack to wanting to see things differently, and that crack is coming.
Yeah. So this is going to be her opportunity now that's going to shake her up a bit, starting to shake things up.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's just, you see so many scenes here, and she gets the phone call and she rushes to the hospital, and then she comes back home in her empty apartment, probably not knowing how to deal with this. And then what she does is she goes straight back to the restaurant and is just trying to apply the past. Like, this is a whole new situation. There's a child that she's asked to care for, and she probably doesn't even know how to respond to it, but she goes back into the kitchen and tries to apply what she knows, like the past, to the present. And you can see all this emotion that's stirred up. And this is a time for her to actually step back from that, which the boss is so beautifully saying, no, you're taking a week off. Like, she really needs this, like, stepping back of whatever pattern that she's in. But you can see, like, this is like always the case, like when a new situation, but we're not always aware of it. I feel a new situation, like every situation is a new, every encounter is a whole new encounter, and how much we try to bring in the past to that encounter, to the extent that we try to do that, that's how disconnected we feel. So you can see even with the food, you know, she's cooked this gorgeous fish dish, but the kid's like, like she can't relate to that. That's like I'm not hungry, thank you very much. And it's not that, you know, she's doing something wrong, like she's not, but it's just, you can just see how limited the self-concept is and how limited our past learning actually is, because the spirit would just have such a, you know, well, a full picture of the situation and can respond accordingly. And I think that's what I don't know, I just feel that's what the undoing is for. And it's so important to open up to that constant undoing of the past, so that we can come into the how can I be truly helpful prayer. Because how do we know what's truly helpful if our self-concept, if we just look through that tunnel, and every day gives so many opportunities to see where I bring in the past, and this is like, okay, that feels disconnected. It's okay, you know, we get aware of it, and so we can open up to what's truly helpful.
Yeah, it's beautiful too, because we'll see that. I mean, I saw this smile on her face as even the children's toys are being brought into the building. You know, just like symbols of the childlike symbols that were kind of coming in. There's this lightness that I could feel with her even then. But yeah, she's just going to start to see where she can't meet this new child symbol in her mind, this joy symbol with the symbols that she's been using from her workplace. This just doesn't meet. And we'll see this frustration that comes up with her soon too. It's just like, I don't know how to get her to eat. You know, it's like, so it's like, my tools aren't working. I don't know what to do. But she wants to embrace this new symbol of the childlike innocence and the joy that's shown up for her too. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just want to point out how beautiful that is. Like, so like the symbol of the child has come in through some small crack in the mind, like accepting in the child. And then it's like she's even tried to, like, you know, leave the child at home for a little while so she can go to her job and get back into that rhythm again. But she's already said yes to this crack in the mind. And I was just laughing at, like, as she's walking in, she's going like, what is this? What is this thing showing up in my mind with this music coming in? And she goes into the kitchen and he's in this, you know, this ecstatic joy and like swirling around the room and like so much. And she just doesn't know how to process that. I just think it's so joyful as this entrance kind of scene. Okay, what the hell is going on in my mind? So she's totally disarmed right now. What is going on? I don't know what to do with this, but I just think it's so joyful. Yeah, so I think it's really beautiful now. You can see that, you know, these new symbols have showed up. The joy symbols are kind of coming in, but yeah, she's still been trying to hold on to superiority in the workplace and control, even with Nick in there. And even Nick is starting to get rubbed the wrong way. He's like, hey, can't you see that I'm here in a joy, here to offer you joy? Do you, and it comes to a point where she has to actually accept the symbol herself. So it's beautiful that he kind of came straight towards her and said, I just came here because I want to be with you. Joy wants to be with you. But you need to say yes to it. You need to say yes. Are you willing? Otherwise I'll go. And so she has to consciously kind of say, like, I want you to be here. You can see the reluctance that's coming up, but she actually has to be very conscious about that. I think that's beautiful because it's going to start to shift things when she recognizes for herself, yes, I do want this relationship. I want the given relationships because I want a change. I don't want this hardness that's been in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and even when they were together in the freezer and they were so face to face with that, like, what do you want? Like her, like it's so alien to her to just collaborate, because I feel underneath it it's just this, like this disbelief that somebody would want to just collaborate with her, like this unworthiness even underneath it. I think that's what's underneath it all. Like, she can't believe that could be the purpose. Like, all she sees through this filter of self-hatred and unworthiness, all she sees is attack. He's coming to take over my kitchen. He's coming to hurt me. He's coming to take something away from me. But that's just the filter of self-hatred I feel underneath. I could even see it in her eyes. There, it's like, he's coming so close. Like, she can't believe that this can be just about the present joining, and that this is really about nothing else but the connection. Like, so the spirit has to open her up to that and reach her, to get to that point. Like, for all of us to get to that point, we're so worthy that we're not valued for what we do. We are valued for who we are. But to come to that point, we need a lot of help. And she's given a lot of help right now. Like, the child is coming in who cannot, like, completely does not resonate with her rules and her way of living. Like, it's such a contrast experience. It's so alien to the child. All these defenses and the way she's living so structured under all this control. It's so alien to a childlike mind, and that has to come in. Something needs to come in that's alien to our way of thinking and our defenses. It has to be so alien, like this contrast experience. It has to come in order to open up to something new. And
yeah, even like I see, like, she's tried to have the child taken care of by a babysitter, and there's been these times where she's tried to keep the child, like, put the child in the hands, okay, someone else has got it. But you can see each time she kind of comes home, tries to leave her, at the moment, the child is kind of like in fear, like under the bed or curling up. And you can see this fear thing. And it's a reflection of her mind. Actually, this assignment has kind of given in for her to be very much with these symbols and stay close to these symbols. And you'll see, like, the child will end up being invited into the restaurant here. So it's kind of like bringing all the symbols together is going to happen very soon.
And the nurturing you were sharing, like, there's an opportunity to nurture.
Yeah. You can see these wonderful things where this care and this nurturing is coming up with her too. But yeah, it requires the attention, and it requires her care. And she can't do things in it like, okay, I'm going to be a good parental figure and ask all the questions. And, she can't do it in this old structured way. It requires a heartfelt desire to connect now.
Yeah. I thought I could read a little bit from the course. There was a section from lesson 135, if I defend myself, I am attacked. That just feels so perfect for this movie. So it feels like a good point to bring it in. Because I feel like now that she said, I want you to stay, it is a symbol of her willingness to say that out loud. I feel now things are really going to kind of speed up, accelerate for her in the direction of the Spirit and the opening up. That was her yes to the Holy Spirit, her little willingness. So it's paragraph 14. It's a long lesson. It is perhaps not easy to perceive that self-initiated plans are but defenses, with the purpose all of them were made to realize. They are the means by which a frightened mind would undertake its own protection at the cost of truth. This is not difficult to realize in some forms which these self-deceptions take, where the denial of reality is very obvious. Yet planning is not often recognized as a defense. I just get chills even reading it, because it goes so deep. And I don't know, even for us in the ministry and the community, we've been, and for myself, like a real let go of any planning, like in a much deeper way. And we've been sharing some words like hippies and hippie ministry. And even that song of Kirsten Buxton that we sang a few weeks ago. The butterflies dancing in view. But like the butterflies, and like they remind me of you. Like, yeah, and even what Marina was sharing on Sunday, like that call to just really be in his presence, no matter what's happening on the screen. Like that's the ultimate prayer of our heart, to feel God's love and his presence. And planning is a defense, not often recognized as a defense. So I'll continue. The mind engaged in planning for itself is occupied in setting up control of future happenings. It does not think that it will be provided for unless it makes its own provisions. Time becomes a future emphasis, to be controlled by learning and experience obtained from past events and previous beliefs. It overlooks the present, for it rests on the idea the past has taught enough to let the mind direct its future course. This is a perfect example, this movie. It's just where she's at. This is the perfect demonstration.
Mm-hmm.
The mind that plans is thus refusing to allow for change. I want to say that again. The mind that plans is thus refusing to allow for change. What it has learned before becomes the basis for its future goals. Its past experience directs its choice of what will happen, and it does not see that here and now is everything it needs to guarantee a future quite unlike the past, without a continuity of any old ideas and sick beliefs. Anticipation plays no part at all, for present confidence directs the way. So here's where our main character, Kate, actually is being called into stepping into present trust and asking for help and guidance.
Mm-hmm.
She is not able to apply any of her past learning to this present situation. There is no past learning.
Mm-hmm.
She tries, even from concepts, but it's like, actually, it's not possible. So this present confidence, this deepening in trust, is what is leading the way.
Mm-hmm.
She's not there yet. Defenses are the plans you undertake to make against the truth. Their aim is to select what you approve and disregard what you consider incompatible with your beliefs of your reality. Yet what remains is meaningless indeed, for it is your reality that is the, quote, threat which your defenses would attack, obscure, and take apart and crucify. Now here comes the paragraph that I just really touched my heart this morning. What could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? Perhaps you have misunderstood his plan, for he would never offer pain to you. But your defenses did not let you see his loving blessing shine in every step you ever took. While you made plans for death, he led you gently to eternal life. Your present trust in him is the defense that promises a future undisturbed, without a trace of sorrow, and with joy that constantly increases, as this life becomes a holy instant, set in time, but heeding only immortality. Let no defenses but your present trust direct the future, and this life becomes a meaningful encounter with the truth that only your defenses would conceal. So this is beautiful. He retranslates defenses to know your present trust is actually, that's the only defense. It's like, be vigilant for the kingdom of God. Be vigilant for the kingdom of God. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'll read one more paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Without defenses, You become a light which heaven gratefully acknowledges to be its own, and it will lead you on in ways appointed for your happiness according to the ancient plan, begun when time was born. Your followers will join their light with yours, and it will be increased until the world is lighted up with joy. And gladly will our brothers lay aside their cumbersome defenses, which availed them nothing and could only terrify. We will anticipate that time today with present confidence, for this is part of what was planned for us.
So gorgeous. Yeah, when you read that this morning, I was just like, oh my God, that's this whole message is totally summarized in that part. Yeah. And all her old plans, like it seems to be that even from her experience with her father, that's the symbol in her mind, at least, of like, there was a time when there was chaos and I needed to take control and I couldn't trust and I needed to fight for myself. And so that's the belief that's kind of washing up now. But the Spirit's kind of coming in, has to show her that no longer works. That belief that you thought was working. And you do need to open up to something completely new now, completely different. And none of these old tools are going to work.
Yeah. It's beautiful because I was sharing with you this morning, you know, like our deepest prayer is to be in his presence. That's really what underneath it all is, to know who we truly are. And this morning when I was just reminded of this part, like he's like carried us every step of the way. And I could just see, like, in my mind, like Jesus standing there at the end of time, you know, before time begun. Like he's standing there and he's pulling us inward to him. It's like he's at the end. So like this seeming journey in our mind, it's like, of course he is there every step of the way. Like he's at the very end holding out his hands. Like, of course he is there carrying us along the way. And like it becomes a gentle path when that realization dawns on the mind. It's just such gratitude that comes through when that's realized. Like he was there every step of the way, no exception. He carried me every step of the way. And yeah, it's like, wow, how blessed we are. So yeah, it's just this. Yeah, it's just this is where it's all leading. And even with the movie, her taking her steps very gently, she gets unwound from this. So yeah.
Yeah. So we're at this point now where she is going to actually start to welcome the symbols together more and more. And we're also going to see this glimpse how everything works together for good when the mind is open to it. Like, you know, just accepting the symbols. She's accepting that there is a plan that's kind of given. And you'll see this is going to be too, like when the daughter, the young girl is brought into the work, she hasn't been eating the food and everything. And Nick is going to step in this beautiful way as well to kind of, he answers the call and she recognizes it and she has this gratitude that comes up. And it's this first little glimpse of this thank you, the gratitude is going to start to come in. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, great. What a contrast. We were just like, oh, you just feel how relaxed she is and like the playfulness. And I was just sharing too, like with Pete, like, oh, I really noticed when they were in the kitchen actually. And Nick was kind of in collaboration with the little girl and with Zoe. But you can see the words come naturally to him. Like he is so relaxed and he's so into the connection. His purpose is the collaboration and the connection. For him, the kitchen is more like a backdrop, more than like a focus of like an outcome. It's not really for that. His purpose is the connection and the collaboration. So whatever words come through him, it's very natural, you know, like, oh, Rome and the prom and just, they have no problem. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. It's not about the words. Like, it's just about the connection in the present moment. And And even seeing how she starts to relax and her rules are like okay, they're kind of being let go of very gently. Like she's not fully there yet, but it's just like this is a big turnaround, and just the feeling of relaxation that she allows herself to kind of drop into. It's very beautiful. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, we've still got some healing to come. But you'll see, like, she's going to be with her therapist, and I don't understand this guy. Like, she's getting all her, like, beliefs are getting questioned now, and she's loosening up, loosening, but she's still trying to recognize this is something I actually want, this ease and this open-heartedness.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, too, when we look at defenses, came to my mind, like, responsibility is a huge defense against present moment trust and opening up to love, like feeling responsible, something that we made up ourselves. It's a made up concept, being a chef, being responsible for meals for the people, that they have a great experience, whatever comes with that concept, it's all made up. So we need to gently be unwound even from that idea of what I think I am responsible for, accept my present happiness and my purpose. Like if that's my sole responsibility, to choose with the Holy Spirit the purpose. And that's like a direction of the mind that's shifting.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. That's all this is, actually. I was just thinking this is just a total reprioritization of everything she has in her mind. She's had, joy has been at the bottom, and so it's just like putting that up to the top is like it's making its way up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking about, this is beautiful, because even that scene just before when Kate tells Zoe that she can't come to the work with her, and Zoe kind of like just kind of breaks down and wants to run away and bolt because of the feeling of abandonment that's coming up. She had just kind of like lost the mother, and just even Kate presenting this thing, I don't want them to take you away from me, kind of thing. Just this thing of abandonment or the separation is coming up in the mind. Kate had it with her father. And again, it's just a symbol that we have in the past. It's the ego's symbol of separation that seems to be coming up in memories, like deep held memories that we've been acting from and, behaving from that belief that happened. And so this is where the Spirit is really coming in so masterfully. And the lesson is always like this deeper and deeper trust. Like, this is like, you said yes to healing now. Your purpose is with me. Your purpose is to open up to God. And it's a new purpose that you're holding. So the experience is new too, but you need to trust me. You need to step with me and say yes. And that's why you were just saying, like, now these deeper things are coming up, like deeper hurts are now able to come up to the surface, because whereas previously there wasn't even enough trust to really face them head on. Without trying to run or recoil from them. But now as these deeper hurts are appearing, there's enough trust that's built to say, like, and I'm going to lean in towards my brother now when the hurt comes up, and allow the Spirit to reinterpret this. It's just like, don't worry, my child, you've been wrong about this. I'm still with you. I have always been with you. I'm here with you. And it's a strengthening of that love. Yeah.
Yeah, because her trust is growing, like expanding, like the confidence building with the miracles. Like she's opening up and she has heart-opening experiences. So it's like a confidence building and a trust building. But yeah, like you said, like then there is an allowance for the deeper things to come up. But also you can see the symbols, like she's opening up to Sean, her neighbor now, who's actually there to support her. It's like even like the mighty companions are now showing up for her, which is part of the trust journey. Mighty companions will now go along with you. So it's like, it's really beautiful to see the symbols she's allowing to help in. And I feel like that's it. Like when we stop trying to rely on our own strength so much, and we open up to just being vulnerable and say, okay, I actually don't know how to do this. I need help, and reach out to those mighty companions. It's like this can come up, and to know that nothing is going wrong when this deeper stuff comes up. It's actually going right. Like this is what it's all for. Like this is the whole purpose of everything, to allow that to come up. So yeah, it's just beautiful to see how she's so gently being walked through this journey of trust. Yeah.
Yeah. And Kate's opening up to this too, and you'll see soon we're going to have this experience where she really kind of is faced with thinking there might be another motive for Nick. Like Nick thinks like, oh, is he there for the boss position or the head chef kind of thing? And, you know, there's a moment of doubt. And like, again, it's the belief in abandonment that's washing up. If something's going to be taken from me, I'm going to be without. And you can see like she has a bit of a wobble, but then it's going to be coming again back to like choosing trust. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, this deeper healing's kind of coming up now. And, you know, I was just thinking like how spirit is really the one orchestrating all the relationships that come into our lives, and even like the time and how things are used. And that's why, you know, it can seem like, you know, ultimately, like it is a pathway. It's like we're opening up to the spirit, and it's between the spirit and myself and opening up to God. But we can't skip steps. And it's so beautiful too that even Zoe is in here helping Kate like face these deep things. I was just thinking when Zoe ran and Kate went into despair, and Kate said, oh, she needs her mother. And I was just thinking this deeper stuff coming up for Kate about like the abandonment and like the total fear that's down there. But now she's like, you know, even with this whole thing with Nick, like moving, like going into a different job, she was looking for someone else. And she's like, you can see like she still feels softer, like she's questioning her whole identity around the workplace now, this fort that she's built around herself. And at the same time, it's like, it was beautiful though, although nothing was clicking when she was interviewing people to come in for the job. And when Zoe bolted, she very much instantly reached out to Nick. Like she recognized the connection still there. She could feel it in a very heart way. And also for Zoe too, like Zoe was really kind of hit, but also because she wasn't transparent, and she was kind of going a little bit back into her old thing of like, oh, he's gone, you know, he's gone. And she wasn't being open and transparent. And she was trying to go back into management again, like managing things. And like Zoe's like, no, this is about the relationship. This was a shared relationship. This was an assignment between all of us. You can't make these decisions by yourself. We need to be in open kind of communication. And so like it's beautiful, like everything, how it's being orchestrated right now. But Nick has just like announced he has the executive position somewhere else. And she's like, that's great. But you can feel like this heart sinking kind of feeling. And for her, you know, there's still something about the transparency, like, and being able to really just speak to what it is that she feels in her heart, like being able to speak from that deep place of even like, this is what I'm longing for, this connection, like the love and the connection is what I really value. She's being driven to be so transparent about that.
Yeah, you can feel when you say this is heart sinking. You can just feel as soon as she felt attacked, or like this protectionism was coming up with her position or her concept of a chef. You could feel the heart go, like it just closes down right away, like the fear has come in and the heart shuts down. And then I feel like that was such a striking line when she said there in the freezer, but this is who I am. It's like, there it is. Great. It's exposed. This is who I am. That was really important. I feel that came out like almost just like, whoa, that's underneath it. This is who I am. And so I got to protect this with everything I got. Like that's just the belief. And yeah, I love that you said like, you need to be, like she's called to be transparent, but also like to not push away what she really feels. That's why it's so important on our path. Like, we need to stay in touch with how do I feel? How do I feel? That's like our compass, like our guiding light. Is how do I feel? And then that safety building that she's had with Nick, she can reach out now, but it's like, yeah, she must be ready to face it and go beyond it too.
Yeah. It just reminds me too, like I was talking to a friend here this week about the levels of mind process and getting down to the desire level, where we see we've chosen something different from the love of God. And I kind of feel like this movie has just shown it so masterfully how she's been brought down from a feeling of discontent, not knowing, and she's been brought down deep, deep, deep into an identity, something that she's desired, which has been like this self-concept of even the chef or whatever it is. And she's been brought to a point where she can genuinely make the decision now for like, do you want to hold on to an old identity that's not really bringing you joy? Or do you want to choose like peace? Do you want to choose the peace of God? Do you want to choose love, a different experience instead? So I think it just really shows it so beautifully.
Yeah, because that concept is just another defense against like the love that's underneath it.
Yeah.
Via, neanche questo tempo grigio.
Oh, beautiful. I love it.
So sweet, like all the collaborations that come in when she opens up her heart, so you can see how much of an expansion it is. And it's funny, she's still like, oh, like you're crossing the line, like
yeah.
but it's playful. You can feel the playfulness underneath it. Like it's like, okay, the spirit will continue.
Yeah.
Listen, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
The symbols, yeah.
I think I remember when the spirits like that pinned the course, there's only a little pile of dust now between you and your brother. Just blow gently and it will disappear. So she's really been working it, and you can see, and now she's got the Nick, Kate, and Zoe is that symbol of collaboration, Trinity. they're connected. So there's like this kind of unified purpose has come in, and there's a lot of joy there. Yeah.
Well, I'll read a little bit from the course. This was coming to my mind just around the gentleness and just even her, she said yes to all the stepping stones along the way, and here's where she's at. And I feel this is the perfect paragraph, actually. It's from lesson 123. I thank my Father for his gifts to me. Today, let us be thankful. We have come to gentler pathways and to smoother roads. There is no thought of turning back, and no implacable resistance to the truth. A bit of wavering remains, some small objections and a little hesitance, but you can well be grateful for your gains, which are far greater than you realize. Yeah, I thought it was perfect to end the